Number one.
One. Yeah.
15 out of 15.
Come on, let's break the sofa.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
I'm Josh. So last September we did a 2,000 mile cycling challenge trying to get to all 15 UK national parks.
In one continuous loop. The
Yes.
aim was to try and do it in 30 days, completely unassisted.
And we were raising money for Trees for Life, for a rewilding charity in the north of Scotland. And it turned out to be the most ridiculously unbelievable
Epic.
adventure we've had. So many things we'll never be able to forget. Went from literally we saw all the UK national parks and so many beautiful other bits in between. But then at the same time,
it was also incredibly brutal. There were hardships, there were hills, there was
hospital visits, injuries. We were cycling 60
gear malfunctions, bike malfunctions,
up to 75 miles a day, every day back to back.
camping.
Doing it all off our unassisted, so literally on the move from like before sunset till before sunrise till after sunset.
Yeah, so it was beautiful and brutal.
Yeah, it literally blew us away in all manners.
Aspects of the term,
But so we this month we released a video documenting how it all went down.
Yeah, of the whole challenge. So from start to finish
and
all the bits in between.
Really wanted to say, so that was our first video and really amazing, like all the support and encouragement.
Yes,
thank you so much. It really means a hell of a lot. And since then we've got loads of questions and after we finished the challenge and since the video we had loads of questions about how it all went down.
Which is what we're here to do today. We're here to answer your questions about the challenge, about some of the highs, the lows.
Like practicalities.
Yeah, food, gear. So if you've not seen that video, we strongly suggest you go and watch that now so you have an idea of what we're talking about here, because it may all seem a bit gobbledygook otherwise.
So we're going to jump into videos, into the questions, and yeah. So we, before the virus started, the coronavirus, we were cycling from the UK to India. We made about 1,000 miles through, we were in the French Alps, and then the virus started, we came back to the UK. We realised that we'd seen less than half, so we've cycled all over the place, we've travelled loads.
Around the world, but we realised that we'd actually not seen much of our home countries.
We'd seen less than half of the national parks.
So we decided that we wanted to change that and raise money for charity whilst doing it. So that's when we plotted this continuous loop to try and get to all of the national parks and raise money for Trees for Life. And also, I guess, highlight the beauty that we have in England, because if we could overlook it, we thought, well, maybe other people do as well. So we wanted to showcase these incredible natural places we have.
That are all on your doorstep and so easy to access.
Yeah,
obviously,
so
you might
accessible.
not do like a full 2,000 mile loop to all of them, but all of these national parks, you're only maybe, in a lot of places, you've got like 3 national parks within like 40 mile radius.
Yeah, and we can cycle to all of them, so.
And more than just the national parks, obviously we did just the national parks, but...
we also cycled through a lot of areas of outstanding beauty as well, which were incredible.
Yeah, just there's so many places, and we really wanted this cycle to showcase all of this, all this awesomeness that you should visit.
And hopefully inspire some adventures at home. How did you plan your route and navigate? Question 2.
Question 2.
I feel like this is one for you because you're the navigation guy.
Yeah, the route planning was quite hard. It took a lot of time, and we had many different kind of drafts of routes. We could only get 30 days off work, and so just a vague plotting worked out it would be about 2,000 miles in a rough loop. We're also we're not pro cyclists at all, so we knew that that was the maximum we could do. So we had to take as direct routes as possible, and also so obviously tying in going through all the parks, but then also trying to not get on any too busy roads,
Yeah.
which is hard to know if you've not cycled those parts before. Which roads? Some A roads are okay, some A roads really aren't. Some B roads are not good as well.
Yeah. But wanting to make it as easy as possible, so as direct as possible.
Direct as possible, avoiding any. We're for this trip we were avoiding mountainous areas if we could, trying to stay on tarmac just because as soon as you're off road. As fun as it is, it's hard. So mapped it all out looked at paper maps as a rough thing, and then actually planned out the route on Ride with GPS, which is an app where you have it. So I did it on a desktop version, mapped the route, and then you download it onto your phone. So then I had the GPX file on my phone, and then had that on the handlebars, and that routed us along.
Question 3.
How did you decide where to camp?
Okay, so I guess because time was of the essence, it was really just sort of what was the most convenient. So we would sometimes wild camp, sometimes camp in campsites. It really just depended where we were.
Ended up.
Yeah.
So I guess we knew every day we'd cycle roughly 60 miles, and then at the end of the day we'd start to see
a few miles before the end, we'd perhaps see if there was a campsite in the area on maps, or we'd sort of see if there was somewhere that we could sort of camp easily. So it really was just about convenience rather than finding the perfect place.
Yeah, nothing was planned before because everything can change.
And sometimes it did.
So we could have kind of plotted every place to camp, but that Jimmy would.
We decided against that because we thought some days we may cycle further and we don't want to be hindered by the camp spot, and some days we may not make that distance as well. So we did really just decide to wing it, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked. Sometimes we had some nice campsites. Sometimes we had some
terrible ones.
Sometimes we had some the most incredible wild camping spots, and sometimes we had terrible wild camping spots.
But that was the nature of the trip, and we sort of thought it would go that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Question number
4. Did you have any moments you wanted to quit? Well, I guess I never wanted to quit personally. I guess there were moments that I thought this isn't going to work. We're not going to be able to do this. Specifically, sort of when I got my injury and we had to take days out to go to the hospital. Cycling was excruciating, but I didn't want to quit. I wanted to continue. If we didn't have the time boundaries, I guess I would have liked to have had some time out and continued. But no, never wanting to stop. And it was tough. It was hard, but
yeah, it was really tough. I think it was very because well, spoiler alert, it took 40 days to finish it, and doing it for such a long time is just very kind of draining, rather than kind of huge, big, crazy points of despair.
Yeah.
But I think
there were a few moments of despair for me.
But do you know what I mean? It's kind of the long drawn out, just kind of grueling.
It wasn't there's a sudden, real intense moment where we have to turn back.
But I think the same as Sarah, there's no point I wanted to quit. But there was a very definite moment I was like, oh, why am I doing this? Which was when I was cycling on the section I cycled on my own in Wales, which completely destroyed me. It was the hardest part of the trip, and I just it was almost, I was fainting on the side of the road almost, and then just camped in the middle of nowhere, having had 4 really grueling days back to back, really heavy bad weather, and I was just felt destroyed, just felt like a ghost, like a shell of a person, and was why am I doing it was just the speed of which I was doing it. It was why am I doing it so fast?
Why am I doing this in this way?
But no point wanting to quit.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Just why?
Why?
What's it? What do you want from me, goddammit? Yeah, no quitting, just why?
Number 5.
Did you find being a vegan held you back at all? So yeah, we're vegan. Have been for a very long time.
I would say no, not at all. I think, especially in the UK, it's very easy to find vegan food, especially even in small places. I mean, some places it's easier than others to get sort of, because convenience was a big thing when it came to sort of food, wanting things that are like nutritious, quick to cook, lightweight, small and dense.
So this actually, I realised the video didn't pick this up much. We like almost every single meal we cook ourselves.
Every single meal.
Well, I mean, there's a few times we had like
portion of chips
or something. But like that makes it, if you're making your food yourself, do you mean that makes it a lot easier? In restaurants, everything's in the UK particularly, everything is a lot better, but that still, it makes it a little bit harder. But having like cycle to order backpacks for ages, you get to know the things which you can pick up easily.
Yeah, the things that are good for sort of cooking on a camp stove quite easily, the foods that are good for energy, the things that pack well. So we would always buy food. We had a bit of a routine. We'd buy the food for the day at the beginning of the day, and then we'd have lunch, which would be sort of something bread based with jam, peanut butter, nuts, seeds, malt loaf, things like this.
Some fruits.
And then dinner would be made on the camp stove.
So it would always be like a sauce, a carb, and a protein, and a veg.
Yeah.
And that would be
like the basis, and we know which things work better than others. Like, you don't want to be making pasta that takes ages to cook.
Lots of couscous, bulgur wheat,
things like this.
quicker things.
And then breakfast was always porridge,
like
which was
a huge big bowl of
calorie dense with like nuts, seeds, and powders.
Raisins.
Yeah, dried fruit, peanut butter, things like this.
I think for doing it over a long space of time, you do need to be eating like quite good food, because if you do it like a weekend, you can just smash it on kind of just like junk
Super
food
noodles,
and just things to get like your calorie count up. But for a month, for us, we found that we needed to eat like decent food, because otherwise we'd just be...
Because it's your fuel, you need to feel good with what you're eating.
Yeah.
It's powering our pedalling.
So still getting like loads of fruits and veggies in a day, but to the question, I didn't find it held us back at all.
No. Number 6. How did you fund the trip and your adventurous lifestyle? So it's all funded by us.
And I think the trip wasn't really that expensive at all. So particularly if you're wild camping, we're spending about £10 a day on food. It wasn't that expensive a trip. We both worked a hell of a lot beforehand to save up for it.
Yeah.
And also with so we run a website and kind of online things, so it's quite easy to schedule things in before and automate them, so it's still, we're kind of like producing work effectively whilst we're away.
Yeah, which is one of the ways that we fund our adventurous lifestyle as well.
Yeah,
through the website, and then also
had some trip sponsors who no like money but gave us gear. So Vango, we are ambassadors for Vango, who gave us most of our sleeping gear.
Cotswolds, who sponsored us with our lovely green helmets.
And
Pedal Cell.
Yeah, Pedal Cell, who is our like dynamo, which kind of powered Rim Dynamo, which powered our electronics.
All our electronics, that meant we were able to document the trip and actually navigate ourselves, which was quite important.
Yeah, so it's not...
There's no secret method to it at all. It was just sort of planning that it was going to be quite a cheap trip in terms of food and what we were doing, camping. It didn't cost that much at all. We didn't have to buy too much for it. No,
and then just obviously had to work our butt off when we got back.
Yeah, working either side just to compensate for it.
Yeah, but I think that was it. I think the key is that we, all the things we do is very low expense. Everything's pretty much human powered. We have to pay for trains every now and again to get places with the bikes. But we don't really have, over the years we built up all our outdoor equipment.
Yeah, once you have a good tent, it should last you a very long time, so then you don't need to buy a new one. Same with sleeping pad, sleeping bag.
Like maintaining everything properly.
Means it has a long life, and then it can support you in all these adventures, and it'd be cheaper in the long run.
And also actually, it's like, that's our main priority, do you know what I mean? That's we eat a lot of food. We never eat out, but we cook a lot of food. And then we spend money on outdoor gear, and that's really our only outgoing. So we also like pints, but not lavish pints, kind of just, I like a pint at the end of a cycle.
So I think that's the key, is like,
that's all
it's a priority. Yeah.
And I think is the right priority.
Yes.
Not is a good priority. I think if you're going to spend money, spend it on a bike and beer. Question number
7. Any tips for someone doing their first time bike tour?
So many tips.
Yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's not like overwhelm.
Okay, so first one, prioritize your bike and the place that you're sleeping. And I think your bike and your tent are the two things where as long as you're going in okay conditions, you want to make sure your bike is comfortable to cycle.
Yeah, I think that is key, because if you're doing a bike tour, you're going to be spending most of your time in the saddle, so it needs to be comfortable. Definitely.
And don't try and do too much. Even if you're, say you do a lot of road cycling, touring is very different. When you're like loaded up and you're getting on and off the bike, it's quite different. So for a first trip, don't try and do something crazy.
Keep it enjoyable. Keep it at a comfortable pace, like a comfortable rate, and so that you can take in what you're experiencing as well. If you're just smashing the miles, then you're not gonna be able to soak it up as much.
And also, I think accepting that things are probably going to go wrong. Some element is probably going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And not taking it too badly if it's not a complete success, because realistically your first few tours are probably going to be things.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. I guess I would recommend going in warmer temperatures so you enjoy it a bit more at first, because I think stuff in the cold is a lot more...
A bit more of an experience.
Yeah, it's a bit harsher, sort of when you're cold at night, when you're cold in the day, whereas if you do it in the warm, it just makes the whole experience a lot nicer.
We have loads and loads and loads of tips. We have an article on the website which I'll put a link to below. We also love helping people with their trips, so if you're planning a first time trip or it's something you're interested in, just give us a message and we'd love to share some knowledge or give some advice.
Question 8.
8. Was it difficult living in your tent together, and did you argue? I would say on the whole we argue very little.
Yeah, just in general, anything like this.
And potentially even we argue less on outdoor trips.
Definitely.
Than we do, not that we argue a lot in normal life, but just I think with those trips they're hard, you rely on each other. And we've also been doing them a lot, we've done them for years together, and you realise that you have to work together. And if you're shouting at each other and arguing or being short with each other, it doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, that's not to say that things don't get a bit tense and difficult. Sometimes there may be an obstacle and you may get frustrated because you're sort of frustrated with the issue that's arisen, but you sort of learn that arguing with your partner isn't going to help that situation. It's coming together and thinking, okay, how do we tackle this as a team? Will make it a lot more easier to overcome than if you get pissed off, because it just doesn't help the situation. And I think having the lifestyle that we have sort of taught us that coming together and working as a team means that these issues are overcome a lot quicker and easier than if we got frustrated with each other and took it out on each other, which isn't going to help anyone. Yeah,
so fortunately, not very much arguing. If there was a lot of arguing, we probably wouldn't do as many trips.
Yeah, because the tent is quite a confined space. It's quite difficult to have some time.
You sit on the naughty corner, I'll sit over there.
Number 9. What are the top 3 moments of the trip? Okay, I'll do one, you do one, and then we do a joint one. Yeah? Cool. So I think mine, I'm not sure if it counts as a moment, but I guess I would say spending such a prolonged amount of time outside. I just really enjoyed sort of moving through the landscapes, just being outside all of the time, sort of camping, sort of cooking outside, meeting people, like the nature that we experienced, the wildlife we saw. It just makes you a lot more in tune with your surroundings, and it makes life a lot simpler as well, but in a sort of beautiful way, that it's just about where you're going to sleep, where you're going to eat.
It gave you this like natural energy that just coursed through. I think mine was, so the last national park was the Peak District. I got there with maybe like 100. After that, I had maybe 100 miles to go. We've been training for the challenge for over 6 months. The Peak District was also the first national park I went to, and the place I really kind of got my love and like outdoor itch. So
inspired,
finishing there at the end of a massive climb up Ringalow Road on this beautiful day, after like 6 months of like preparations and training. It meant so much. I just kind of was like overcome with like euphoria and just emotion, and it just felt
kissing the national park sign.
Yeah, just like so excited to see this lump of stone on the side of the road with these drivers going past. Like, wow, that guy's he's been let out of there. He's only been for the day. But,
and then I would say a bit that it seemed that we both most enjoyed, I would say, was Snowdonia.
Yeah,
and the north of Wales. Yeah. Just as a place, it was just
which is interesting because that's also where everything started to go wrong. Injuries, like losing like lots of like problems with gear.
Yeah, the rain started then as well. We had really good weather up until that point because that was the 2 week mark, and it started to rain. The hills were grueling.
Just
so it was difficult, but the landscape was just absolutely immense. It was so beautiful, and the people were some of the warmest, most loveliest people that I think we've ever encountered.
Felt like you're meeting like relatives, or like it was all these communities where everyone like never experienced anything like that. Everyone was just Lynn, Ian, Paul, you guys, you welcomed us into your house, got us drunk first, and let's sleep in your garden. You guys were incredible, but there was so many other experiences like that in Wales. So we're eternally grateful for all your hospitality. Incredible country. If anyone wants like a bikepacking location or a cycle place, I'd say stick to off-road things because the roads are a bit crazy.
Yes. Drivers, you are some of the craziest drivers.
But Wales, you were a special place.
Special. Do you have any trips?
Question number
10. Do you have any trips or challenges planned for the future? I would say yes. I hope that all of life is crammed with challenges and trips. But in the immediate future, we have.
So we literally have just finished the Pennine Bridleway, which is the longest continuous off-road route in the UK.
Yeah.
There's loads and loads of stuff I could tell you about it. It was unbelievable. I'm just putting together a video now, so you'll see everything in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, subscribe and then you can see that video. But then off the back of that, the next big trip, I guess, is that we're going to continue, like we mentioned before the coronavirus hit, we were cycling sort of east towards India, so we're hoping to continue that sort of in a couple of months.
So you can't see, but you're we're surrounded by packing boxes.
Yes.
We got asked
out of shot.
asked to leave our house by the landlord, so we're moving out next week. Literally in 8 days we're moving out. No, 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days.
7 days we're moving out, and we move back to our hometown for a month to try and sell everything we have.
Get rid of everything and then cycle again.
And then so lots of really big adventures.
Yes.
Before we go, so that was the last question. Was that the last question?
That was the last question.
The one thing which has been amazing after releasing the video from Run of the Wild is that the donations to Trees for Life have started going up again.
Yeah.
And they're a really incredibly worthwhile charity doing so much stuff in the Highlands in terms of reintroducing biodiversity, community integration, really just doing incredible stuff. The fundraising page is still open. I'll put a link to the bottom. If you would like to donate, that would be
amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone for your support as well. Like sort of before, during, and after. It's been amazing just to sort of have that support, and just makes it feel so worthwhile. And people saying that it's inspired trips of their own as well. I think that makes it. That's just the most important thing. But
So this is the first video of many to come.
Yep.
So if you enjoyed it, if you're interested in our cycles and our adventures, then subscribe below and you can find all the next videos.
Yes.
Also, this video can't be like hours and hours long. If you've got any other questions,
reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer any questions, no matter how big or small, how odd or random. We love questions.
Put them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Happy rides, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Okay.
I've got coffee around my mouth.
Huh? Never forget.
Yes.
At the same time.
What?
Hello.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
I'm Josh. So this time, no.
Last year we did our wide ride.